All right, welcome back to Fox 8 News in the Morning. We are live at the Rock Hall this morning and had some wonderful interviews so far and having a great show out here. It's such a big weekend. But when you think about the Hall of Fame, you usually think about the musicians, how they sound.
Yeah, but it's also the sights and especially those photos that really come to life. They're those iconic pictures of those artists, and the stories that they tell are truly magical.
And talking about some tremendous photographers who are joining us this morning. Yes. They have captured rock and roll history in Cleveland. Anastasia Pantios, as well as Joe Cleon. God, thank you so much for stopping by this morning. And you guys have really captured rock and roll history here in Northeast Ohio. John, we'll start with you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's talk about Cher, man.
Those photos I took were from 2014. She toured with Cyndi Lauper. It was called the Dress to Kill Tour. And they're probably one of the most unique photos of any of the 1,600 shows I've shot, just with the dynamic colors, and they're just so vibrant. And I've always been a huge Cher fan.
Joe, you talk about soundboard shoots. Those are not your favorites, but this one was.
I rented a really long, expensive lens for this show because I knew it'd probably be my only time I could shoot Cher. So I could really zoom in from far away and get really, really good shots. And they were just so dynamic and colorful, and she's just a great performer.
And why is it the soundboard shoots? Like, you would obviously rather be closer.
I think it's up to the artist. Sometimes they put us in the pit, which is right up above, right by the stage, inside the crown barrier, and sometimes they put us all the way back at the soundboard, so you just got to be ready for wherever they put you.
You also did Foreigner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Foreigner was from Blossom. That was from the pit.
Yeah.
Anastasia, you've been all over the map too, and all the iconic shows in Cleveland, local bands, the national acts. You shot these all. How did you get started in this? Because you're such a legend, both of you, with being part of Cleveland history and rock and roll history. How did it all start for you?
It started at school. I went to Case Western Reserve where I was a theater major, and I started shooting theater productions for the Observer there, and they got tickets to all the shows, and nobody else wanted to go because at the time Case was a very insular campus. Everyone wanted to review a record because they got a free record. They could go back to their dorm and smoke pot and study for their engineering exam. So I would get the tickets, and I would go down to Public Hall and see bands like Led Zeppelin and The Who and David Bowie. And back then there were no restrictions on bringing a camera in and shooting. So I just brought my camera in and took pictures for the school newspaper.
Talk about your favorite from this particular class.
This particular class, I would say maybe Peter Frampton is a favorite of mine. Yeah. I don't know that I would say he necessarily deserves to be in the Rock Hall because I have strong opinions about that.
Okay.
But all of the shows I saw him do were really great.
Yeah. And then Ozzy Osbourne, talk about when you were capturing him. I think that's really unique because it's something that, you know, the audience loves, all the effects and fog, but as a photographer, that was an obstacle for you.
Fog was always a real problem. He would come on stage in a burst of fog, sitting on this giant throne, and they would give you the first 3 numbers to shoot, but it took 3 numbers for the fog to dissipate. I had that same problem actually shooting Neil Diamond, too.
And back then you didn't have the digital cameras where you could look right away and say, okay, this is an okay shot.
Yeah, and digital is easier to adjust for fog, too, more than film.
Joe, let me ask you this. The Dave Matthews Band is some of your favorite shoots. And you talk about how it's interesting because the length of their songs are always different. Like they always have something going on.
Not a lot of bands do that. Most bands have a regimented set where they rehearse it. It's exactly the same every night. With Dave Matthews, one night a song could be 3 minutes, the next night it could be 12 minutes.
Wow.
And I've shot them more than anyone else besides local artists.
And they've been on tour for so long.
And the reason I shot them so many times is because every tour, it's different. The lighting is different, the staging is different, so I've got a really dynamic and wide variety of shots. And
that says so much about the group, too, that they're not just going in and doing the same thing the same recipe that they know works, but they're always evolving and changing. Are you guys going to be shooting tomorrow at the induction ceremony?
I'll be in the press room shooting.
I am not.
You're not.
No, I'm not.
This is the first one you've missed here in Cleveland? First one you've missed here in Cleveland?
No, I've never been to an induction ceremony.
Okay.
We need to get you there.
We need to call Anastasia.
Okay.
But I am excited that tonight I'm going to a local show. Guitarist Neil Zaza is doing his One Dark Night at the Agora, and I will be shooting that.
Nice. I see you have your camera with you right
So
now.
yeah,
So what do
doesn't
you
leave out
use?
without
What? This is the.
this
one
is
that
the
you use
Nikon
most?
5000 series, and I started using it back when I was at Scene because it's very. They had one that was very lightweight.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
this one here. I've known Anastasia for
30 years.
30 some years.
Yeah.
Yeah, shooting
When
our
she was
bands
a little
back in the
girl.
day. Yes,
Yeah.
it's so
You
good
were.
to see you. Tell Neil Zaza hello.
I
We had him
will.
on our show last week
Oh,
promoting
good.
his event. It's
I
going
saw
to be a
that.
great show.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you both for coming.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for
guys.
having us.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
Yes,
This is
definitely.
fun.
Sharing all your best stuff.
Stick around. We have to get a picture with you guys. The
Maybe you should take
icons.
a no.
You should make us look good and take the photo.
No, I want you in the photos.
We need a lot of help.